we were almost, they never thought that anything like this is anything big. So they said for years together, and the elders said that they never heard of any parliamentary delegation or members of parliament. And I think we definitely get credited in the BJP for exploring things which is not, it's an army man's terrain, it's a terrain of the government, but it's not a terrain for normal people like us to trade in. But we did that. Someone who thought we are BJP, so the children climbed up the place on the sand and they wrote BJP. So they just did it to welcome us, but that is the only way they could have welcomed us. And there is no delineated line. These are when I say there are boundaries, there are no boundaries. It is all perception. It is all an imagination, no, perception that this is the point, this is the map which we have. So that is a very difficult aspect, and possibly even the government. These are the tracks which transport our troops. And this was not 10 kilometer, 20 kilometer, 30 kilometers. This were hundreds of kilometers. Hundreds of kilometers, I would say. And while China has constructed in Ladakh, in Tibet itself, 40,000 kilometers of road. And the railway line of the network in Tibet, and 1,118 kilometers of railway line from Lhasa to Goma in Kungai province. They have constructed so much. We don't match at all what they have done. This was a picket where we used to sit down, and then we talked to the ITBP people, and they were escorting us. On the Pengyong Lake, it is a disputed territory. Most of the people who have worked in the army, they actually know that 135 kilometers in the Indian side, and beyond that is the Chinese side. And every time our patrol moves into their lake, they capture us, they hold us. So it's been going on for years, and there's no demarcation, because this is one of the biggest lakes at that height, at 16 to 20,000 feet. So there is in 2007 there were about 200 intrusions. Year 2008 there were about 270 intrusions, because the Chinese keep walking in. They keep on walking in. They keep on coming with the boats. They keep on having a gala time there. This is wait for me. It's a major territorial dispute. We really do not know what the Chinese had captured the Indian patrol in this high altitude lake in our territory. So they would capture all patrol. They don't want to fight, so truce is reached, and then the patrol is left behind. These are the roads to protect the Indian territory. These are the general roads which that we have on the borders of China in that particular region. And of course, the Changla Pass we crossed. The ribos there would come back to you when you visit. Even if you visit now, they'll come with a lot of these Diwani maps in which a lot of territory is marked and their land holdings are marked. So we photographed a couple of their maps, and this is all written in Urdu and things like that, where the territories of which they are held by them is shown. They will always keep talking about it, holding it close to the chest and saying that, look, this is our land which has been given away to China. And the Chinese have established a very interesting technique. They attempt to construct infrastructure in disputed areas. They always make an attempt. If any activity or development is taking place on our land, on Indian side, they will definitely have a flag meeting for that. Even if it is a valid construction taking place much below, much within our line of actual control, they will always dispute it and say that, let's have a flag meeting, let's talk it about. So they will always object to any development activity taking place on the Indian side. They will put Chinese signs, Chinese language on the blocks here, which has been reported by many newspapers. And they would, there was a distinct, the Chinese love to push their grazers ahead. We, for the armed forces, whatever decision they must have taken, there must be reasons behind it, and there must be valid reasons behind it. But the grazers on our end always keep on fighting with the army. They will keep on screaming at the army that they send the grazers and they support from behind. Why can't you do the same? It was a very valid thing, he says, when we go, our forces don't support us. I do not know. There must be a reason. It must be a valid reason. But they used to, and you could hear the villagers when they saw us. They know that army is very important for them. There's a lifetime. They don't misbehave with them, but they keep arguing with them that why don't you do that? We want to have grazers to go there. So grazing is a major activity which takes place because it's an open land. incursion is like Rebos have huge pasture land and they want to cross across the Indus falling within the Chinese claim line. This is the river which is crossing there. Of course, Tarun Vijayji has done a lot of work on the beginning of this source. Incursion, the ground reality, the captured areas, the maps which were given by the people there. The only thing visible is this yaks and animals. In 2008, the Chinese army captured our animals with no retaliation from our side. There can't be a retaliation every time. But locals who are Indians, they get very excited that even if one animal is taken back, they want the army to fight it and get those animals back, which may not be very reasonable, but they feel the Chinese do the same way. So they want it to happen the same way. The Chinese patrol, we asked that it's an Indian side. They said yes, Chinese patrol is moving. Our patrol must also be moving. There must be people who must be capturing such photographs. But these are very obvious sites because there's no boundary. Sir, what I want to say here is I can go on and there are 100 instances. Most of these border disputes which we talk today, the big gaps in between different forward posts, hostile terrain, hostile weather. Some posts are 10 to 12 days walk from the place where you can access them. It's a very difficult situation both for the ITBP and the army. It's an impossible living situation. And hats off to all those who go and work and protect it. We cannot grouse what they are doing. They are outstanding. It's unmatchless. And we need to support that. But at the policy level in Government of India, we need to do, this was in Sikkim where we went up to Gurdungmar Lake and where this is the third, I don't want to take much time, but this is again is Gurdungmar Lake, which is the source of river the Teesta River. And people believe that if you're not having children, then you can go around this Gurdungmar Lake 2 times and pray there, and that helps you. So all these, but one thing was very common in all these places. Now this is a Changri East, and the finger trip which we have been hearing often and again, that finger trip has been captured by the Chinese. This was our post, which is about 12 nautical miles across that post. And no civilian has ever walked up. The wind here at this point of time was 40 knots. It was chilled 40 knots. And this is called Changri East Post. From there, we could visibly see the Chinese side, the other side, which are 12 nautical miles, with few mountains on that. But that fingertip is supposed to be a place which has been taken over by the Chinese. And fingertip, they're saying that it's a 12 o'clock position. It's again a perception and visual confirmation of the intrusion. Army says we are safe. And this is 31st May 2000, a historic day because possibly any political group, party, MLA, MP, and public representative, army of course is there. And it's manned by the army. We pass the terrain, guess where are the roads, and let the nation be ponder where the Chinese in the clouds. BJP, that is of course a party affair. So now we strategic roads in the Tibet Autonomous Region. We have talked about development, Western Highway. There are many issues where our roads stop as far as the line of actual control is concerned and where their roads stop. So there is a whole lot of details here which I will not like to, about railway lines, about we can move about 2 divisions. They can move, now they have a capacity to move 32 divisions. Now, this is the gap which we have. So it's frightening at times if you really think. Now these were the figures not taken by any other source, by the armed forces. They in Ladakh region say that we can move two battalions, or we have a less capacity, much less, 1/10 of what they have. So that is what they have been talking about. These are the infrastructure development, Tibet Autonomous Region, China in capacity, how much oil they can carry, how much freight they can carry, how much transportation they can carry, and how important Tibet is to them. Sir, I will not take much time, but a last observation. These are eastern sector opposite Tawang. We have taken up this. Now new Chinese road length constructed, Chinese road head distance from line of actual control, Indian road head distance from line of actual control. They are 9 kilometers, we are 5. So there is a lot of gap between our effort and their effort. Not to get disappointed, not to feel small about it. This is what we had felt. Recommendations of the China Study Group on Border Infrastructure Development to be made public and implemented. This is supposed, so far the China Study Group, whatever it does not get public. No one knows what actually is happening. It's a far distance. So this report should be public. It's a document produced by the Ministry of External Affairs, produced by the armed forces got together. But this needs to be made more public so that there is more people can get. Setting of a parliamentary group for detailed study on overseeing border issues. We have many forums, but there should be a parliamentary group because parliamentary standing committee examines many things. Now, border is an important, especially vis-a-vis China. That should be a parliamentary group. A statutory, high-powered, autonomous border management group at the national level, which it's a focus from the center, right? Because roads and all border roads organizations, the amount of money which they have got and the amount of money which they have spent is about 1/10 of the entire capacity. So all this is there. It's not a very comfortable situation. We feel it's not a very comfortable situation. There are small documents and information which we can share, which will take a lot of time to analyze it. But we need to do much more. It's not that we are scared about it, but we need to do much more. And the actual ground situation, the ground reality is much different from what we perceive from here. The inner line permit, I do not know. It is a place which generally not many people would want to go. Still, those who would want to go, they cannot go even if they are Indian citizens because there is something called the inner line permit. Why should we have a permit for even if tourists start visiting those areas? How can there be a matter of security when you don't have a fenced border? How can there be a matter of security? It's an open border, almost an open border. But if movement starts, at least basic amenities to the people living there, the Ribos living there, those who live at that level will be accessed by more. At least people of this country would know actually what is happening there. So I do not know why we still continue and persist about the inner line permit. We had to take as a members of parliament, we had to be exempted from that. So if any one of you want to visit, I don't think you can visit. And those are not 100 square kilometers, they are thousands and thousands square kilometers. It's a desert like Har or maybe Jaisalmer. It's a desert like that, and it's a beautiful place to visit. So having said that, these are observations. We have been talking about it. We have been telling people about it, and we shall be working much more to come out with a document to say what is the actual situation there. But this is just for your knowledge, for your consumption, and just to so that we can proceed further. Thank you very much.